Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my series, reading Dracula by Bram Stoker. Without further ado, returning to Dracula, as read by Lord Naren White. He is sure with his so great knowledge that she will come at his call, but he cut her off, take her as he can do out of his own power, that so she come not to him. Ah, there I have hope that our man brains that have been of so long, and that have not lost the grace of God, will come higher than his child brain that lie in the tomb for centuries, that grow not yet to our stature, and that do only work selfish and therefore small. Here comes Madam Mina. Not a word to her for trance. She knows it not, and it would overwhelm her and make despair just when we all want her hope, all her courage, when most of all her great brain, which is trained like a man's brain, but is of sweet woman and have a special power which the Count give her, and which he may not take away altogether, though he think not so. Hush, let me speak, and you shall learn. Oh, John, my friend, we are in awful straits. I fear as I've never feared before. We can only trust the good God. Silence! Here she comes. I thought that the professor was going to break down and have hysterics, just as when he had when Lucy did, but with a great effort he controlled himself, and was at perfect nervous poise when Mrs. Harker tripped into the room, bright and happy, looking at, in the doing of work, seemingly forgetful of her misery. As she came in, she handed a number of sheets of typewriting to Van Helsing. He looked over them gravely, his face brightening up as he read. Then, holding the pages between his finger and thumb, he said, "Friend John, to you with so much experience already, and you too, dear Madam Mina, that are young, here is a lesson. Do not fear ever to think. A half thought has been buzzing often in my brain, but I fear to let him loose his wings. Here now, with more knowledge, I go back to where that half thought come from, and I find that he be no half thought at all. That be a whole thought, though so young that he is not yet strong to use his little wings. Nay, like the ugly duck of my friend Hans Andersen, he be no duck thought at all, but a big swan thought that sail nobly on big wings, when the time come for him to try them. See, I read here what Jonathan have written. That other of his race who, in a later age, again and again, brought his forces over the great river into Turkeyland, who, when he was beaten back, came again and again and again, though he had to come alone from the bloody field where his troops were being slaughtered, since he knew that he alone could ultimately triumph. What does this tell us? Not much. No, the Count's child thought see nothing. Therefore he speaks so free. Your man thought see nothing. My man thought see nothing till just now. No, but there comes another word from someone who speak without thought, because she too know not what it might mean, just as there are elements which rest, yet when in the nature's course they move on their way and they touch the poof, and there comes a flash of light heaven wide that blind and kill and destroy some, but that show up all earth below for leagues and leagues. Is it not so? Well, I shall explain. To begin, have you ever studied the philosophy of crime? Yes and no. You, John, yes, for it is a study of insanity. You, no, Madam Mina, for crime touched you not but once. Still, your mind works true, and argues not a particularity ad universal. There is this peculiarity in criminals. It is so constant in all countries and at all times that even police, who know not much from philosophy, come to know it empirically, that is, to be empiric. The criminal always work at one crime. That is the true criminal, who seems predestinate to crime, and who will of none other. The criminal has not full man brain. He is clever and cunning and resourceful, but he be not of man stature as to brain. He be of child brain in much. Now this criminal of ours is predestinate to crime also. He too have child brain, and it is of the child to do what he have done. The little bird, the little fish, the little animal learn not by principle, but empirically. And when he learn to do, then there is to him the ground to start from to do more. Dos pud sto, said Archimedes. Give me a fulcrum, and I shall move the world. To do once is the fulcrum whereby child brain become man brain, and until he have the purpose to do more, he continue to do the same again every time, just as he have done before. Oh, my dear, I see that your eyes are opened, and that to you the lightning flash show all the leagues. For Mrs. Harker had began to clap her hands, and her eyes sparkled. He went on. Now you shall speak. Tell us, two dry men of science, what you see with those so bright eyes. He took her hand and held it whilst he spoke. His finger and thumb closed on her pulse, as I thought instinctively and unconsciously as she spoke. The Count is a criminal and of criminal type. Nordau and Lombroso would so classify him, and qua criminal, he is of an imperfectly formed mind. Thus, in a difficulty he has to seek resource in a habit. His past is a clue, and the one page of it that we know, and that from his own lips tells that once before, when in what Mr. Morris would call a tight place, he went back to his own country from the land he tried to invade, and thence, without losing purpose, prepared himself for a new effort. He came again better equipped for his work, and won. So he came to London to invade a new land, and was beaten when all hope of success was lost, and his existence in danger, he fled back over the sea to his home, just as formerly he fled back over the Danube from Turkeyland. Good, good. Oh, you so clever lady, said Van Helsing enthusiastically, as he stopped and kissed her hand. A moment later he said to me, as calmly as though we had been having a sick-room consultation, 72 only, and in all this excitement I have hope. Turning to her again, he said with keen expectation, But go on, go on. There is more to tell if you will. Be not afraid, John, and I know. I do in any case, and shall tell you if you are right. Speak without fear. I will try to, but you will forgive me if I seem too egotistical. Nay, fear not, for you must be egoist, for it is of you that we think. Then, as he is criminal, he is selfish, and as his intellect is small and his action is based on selfishness, he confines himself to one purpose. That purpose is remorseless. As he fled back over the Danube, leaving his forces to be cut to pieces, so now he is intent on being safe, careless of all. So his own selfishness frees my soul somewhat from the terrible power which he acquired over me that dreadful night. I felt it, oh, I felt it, thank God for his great mercy. My soul is freer than it has been since that awful hour, and all that haunts me is a fear lest in some trance or dream he may have used my knowledge for his ends. The professor stood up. He has so used your mind, and by it he has left us here in Varna, whilst the ship that carried him rushed through enveloping fog up to Galatz, where, doubtless, he had made preparation for escaping from us, but his child mind only saw so far. And it may be that, as ever, in God's providence, the very thing that the evildoer most reckoned on for his selfish good turns out to be his chiefest harm. The hunter is taken in his own snare, as the great psalmist says, for now that he think he is free from every trance of all, and that he has escaped us with so many hours, then his selfish child brain will whisper him to sleep. He think, too, that as he cut himself off from knowing your mind, there can be no knowledge of him to you. There is where he fail. That terrible baptism of blood, which he give you, make you free to go to him in spirit, as you have as yet done in your times of freedom, when the sun rise and set. At such times you go by my volition and not by his. And this power of to good of you and others you have won from your suffering at his hands. This is now all the more precious that he know it not, and to guard himself have even cut himself off from his knowledge of our where. We, however, are not selfish, and we believe that God is with us through all this blackness, and that these many dark hours, and yes, we shall follow him. And we shall not flinch, even if we peril ourselves, that we become like him. Friend John, this has been a great hour, and it have done much to advance us on our way. You must be scribe and write him all down, so that when the others return from their work, you can give it to them, and they shall know as we do. And so I have written it whilst we wait their return, and Mrs. Harker has written with the typewriter all since she brought the MS to us. We'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.